my God.
EhMaGawd.
Oh my God.
Let's get into it.
Hello.
Oh my God, hi.
Hi, my love. How are you?
You know,
Heavy sigh.
I could-
Heavy sigh.
I could do the thing where I lie and say I'm really good, but
We're not doing that anymore.
no, we're done with that. We're done with that. We're
Okay,
just,
so how are you?
we're just meeting where we are, okay? Like,
Yeah.
this is what it is. I currently have not one, not two, but 3 Tiger Balm patches on my shoulders and my neck.
So you smell like grandpa right now.
Oh, it's insane. Or in my mind, I smell like my friend Alex Treschke, who's a professional dancer. He was in Hamilton for like 5 years. And you know if he's near because his body always smells like Tiger Balm.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to one-up you or two-up you, but look what I have on my desk at this exact moment. 2 Tiger Balm jars.
What's your issue?
For the last month, I have had like frozen shoulder and neck.
Yep.
Never had it before. Don't know, like wasn't in an accident.
Mhm.
Don't know why I have it. What is that? Is that a stress thing? Is the body keeping score? What's happening?
I'm not sure. I woke up yesterday morning and went, oh no, I cannot turn my head. I could barely like lift my head from the pillow. It hurt so bad. Like, it was like horrible. And then my beloved, who sleeps next to me, told me that I was doing Cirque du Soleil throughout the entire night. He was like,
Meaning?
you were tossing and turning. You ripped all of the sheets off the bed. I had to get out and make the bed with you in it because you destroyed the sheets and the comforter. And then we have sides. Do you have a side of the bed?
Obviously, it's always, no matter where we are, it's the side closest to the bathroom.
Side closest to the door for me, always. Like, no
Okay.
matter what room I'm in. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why. But so much so to the point where he then had to make the bed and I was completely on his side. So then he had to sleep on my side. So I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, quite literally.
Literally.
With like a fatality.
Straight jacketed in.
Yeah. With a fatality. Like, I truly am not well, but nonetheless, I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm happy to be here with you.
And the icy hot's hitting. Like, it
I'm
is
sorry
like, I just,
about your pain.
it's okay. I just put them on like 20 minutes ago and it's nailing it so far. Like, it's feeling pretty good. So I think, it's effective.
Do you
The
think
Tiger
it's
Balm.
because we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders?
Yes.
If I had to find the connection, you know how
Yes.
like the body keeps the score and there's always like, well, if you're feeling it here, it's because this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with yes. Atlas
Yes.
shrugged. There is a globe on my shoulders and I'm feeling the pressure.
Right.
Same?
Completely. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well.
There's so much going on. And I also just think I slept crazy. Like, I don't know what contortion I was doing in the night, but apparently this is the result of that. So here we are.
Are you going to dive off a high rise into a bucket seat?
Yes.
Is that
Like,
next?
honestly, this is the end for me. How are you? How is it going? You did some writing today, didn't you?
I did.
Speaking of weight of world.
I did. It's my early morning get up and slip into the Clique zone, which is so peaceful and fun. I highly recommend it to anyone who's trying to do anything creative to get up, crack ass, sky is dark, nothing's pinging and dinging yet. It feels like bonus hours of life, and it's really great. I'm very creative at that time. So
That's
yes,
amazing.
I did. I'm chugging along. Very excited.
Fantastic. I guess it's only appropriate that we talk about this here masterpiece.
This here masterpiece?
This
for the,
here masterpiece.
For the listener,
We're holding up the Clique.
first edition, bitches. First edition.
Okay, so mine, this is so crazy. Mine is my original copy that I got when I was in 7th grade in 2007. It is so weathered
Yellow?
and yellow. The
Same.
book is so yellow.
Same. Look at the edges for the listener. It looks
Yeah.
like old man teeth.
And then here,
No, I signed it.
it is signed by the author, Lisi Harrison. And it says, "For Ellen, stay amazing. Thank you for being in the Clique. Heart, Lisi Harrison."
Are you kidding?
Can you believe this? This belongs in the Smithsonian. Like,
Oh my God, that's adorable. I feel
I
bad
can't.
that I didn't get more personal with you. Had I known.
well, I think you came to set and I had you sign this like on the day because I mean, this is literally my copy, but
That is adorable.
it's also signed by Sophie Everhard and Samantha Boscarino. I don't know why just them two and you and not like so janky.
Because
And
you were scared of
Sophie's-
Elizabeth. You were
Maybe
intimidated
that's
by it.
why. Oh my God. Or she had bronchitis or something. She was
Right.
dying. Sophie's note says, "Ellen, we have no inside jokes. Darn. Sophie."
Wow, that's hard.
Seventh grade humor. I guess that
Allie.
was like an inside joke in of itself. And then
Allie.
Samantha's, of course, has a peace sign. She was very into peace signs back then. But yeah, I want to just dive in.
Do it.
What? This cover is iconic. Like,
It is.
do you remember getting this and like approving this? Like, what was the process of the cover art?
Well, it was just in an era of like massive Burberry. I mean, Burberry was everywhere, and this sort of mirrors that pattern and mirrors the designer vibe. And again, like Burberry was everywhere. It was in this book, right? Where it was like the girls would punch each other if they saw Burberry.
Yes.
It was because I was living in New York City and you could not walk a block without seeing that pattern.
It was everywhere.
So, yeah, they were trying to make the book covers look like designer and designer handbags so that it would feel special to be carrying the book.
It did.
Yeah, like it would be an accessory.
It did. I've told you a million times. I remember being in middle school and looking back at like homeroom, you know, reading time, silent reading time, and just seeing a sea of plaid. The whole room was that plaid print. It's iconic. And like, who are these girls? Do we know anything about these girls on the cover?
No, and I think I've bitched about them in the past because I hated that there were photographs of girls. A, like, why only 3? B, I really wanted readers to picture the characters the way that they wanted to envision them. And every single book tour I went on, someone would always ask, which girl on the cover is which character? And I'm like,
Right.
dude, I don't know. None of them. Like, stop. And then I'd inevitably go into my rant about how much I hate these girls on the cover.
That is
Not
so
them personally.
funny.
Bless their hearts. They're doing a great job. And the one all the way over here, this
the
girl with the
pink.
side eye.
That's who
she
I
gives
pictured
great
being-
side eye.
She's Massey, though, like with her bob. With her brunette bob.
Oh,
like,
see,
I always
I don't
pictured
see
her
it.
being Massey and then the girl in the middle being Dylan because she's a
Dylan,
redhead. And
yeah.
then I pictured that girl on the right
Kristen.
being Kristen. Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly.
But I don't think this one is Massey. It threw the reader, and I resented that. It felt like my work was being hijacked.
But it's iconic nonetheless. It's a great photo. I do love the group photo of them. Like,
It's great.
Great. I love it.
A friend of mine made a copy of the cover with like us in the images, like photoshopped it in.
Well, you know, my dream for the new book is to do the plaid and for Elizabeth and I to do a photo.
Yes,
together.
I love that. Yes.
With like martinis. It would
Of
be
course.
so good. Like a adult version.
Yes.
It would be so good. Like, oh, I love it. So I guess we should talk about like why we're doing this. Clique
I would
Book
like
Club.
that because
Okay.
I have such fear and concern of being seen as someone who like can't get past her glory days and just wants to keep reliving it, like with a pitcher of beer at some sad bar, like talking about that winning touchdown.
I have the same fear.
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah.
that's what I want to clear up right away. Why are we doing this?
Well, there was some outreach. We saw some comments on our platforms where this podcast is available, and a lot of people were like, wait, I thought this was going to be a Clique podcast because it's obviously us. It makes
Right.
sense why people would think that. And we talk about the Clique a lot. We talk about the new book a lot. And the dynamics of female friendship is really at its core what this show is about. But we just figured once a month we would recap a book.
Yeah. And also because we were doing it on Substack, right? On our State of the Reunion, you were writing up a monthly thing, and we were just like, let's just discuss. It felt like a little too one-dimensional. We wanted to be able to go back and forth and really discuss. And I wanted to be able to give some insight into what was going on the page that we wouldn't have otherwise had.
Let's go back to the beginning of when you started writing the Clique and like the process of that. So you were working at MTV full time. I don't want to be a broken record because we have
Yeah,
talked
we've
about
talked about
this.
this.
So you start writing this book. Did you know by the end of the first one that you were going to do 2 more?
I was under contract for 4 books right away. So
Got
I
it.
always knew there were going to be 4, but never in a million years thought they would be successful or anyone would read them. I was getting paid pennies to do it. And just, it was more of a, I've always wanted to be a writer. Let me scratch that itch and say I did it. And then I can get back to my job at MTV.
And you obviously did not envision writing like 20 of them.
No. Or to then quit MTV and become a full-time author. None of that was envisioned.
So I will start with my introduction to the Clique series and what was so appealing about it to me. And it's so funny because even in the new book, when we talk about Massie, I still get like butterflies in my tummy. I still idolize her in a weird way.
Are they're not scared butterflies. They're
Like
excited.
excited. Like I get like, what's she doing? What's she wearing? What's she drinking? Where's she going? Like I'm obsessed with her. I
She's
will
right
always
here.
be, and she's right there. I know,
She
no
is.
wonder. But we all really were obsessed with her, like from an audience perspective, even though we knew that she was the villain. You put us in the position as audience so brilliantly of being Claire and like knowing that Massie's bad, but still wanting to be her. I know this was such a conscious choice. Like, how did you come to the place of making her a sympathetic character and not just a straight up villain, and giving her some humanity in a way to the point where we all still sympathize with her, yet we were afraid of her and idolized her?
Yeah.
Like, expand upon that whole thing.
Thank you for seeing that, by the way. I think overall, the goal was always to explain and show the nuances in all of us. So nobody is, here's the pretty mean girl, here's the dorky girl with the glasses. Here, like all those cliches always made me nauseous. And I really always wanted to show that behind every archetype, there's a lot of things going on that I wanted to show. So it was always very clear to me that Massie would be the leader and the intimidator and the one that sets the rules. But she was also incredibly human because I just didn't want to create that pretty mean girl for no reason. You know, the question as a writer is, how do you show that? Show, don't tell. How do you make her sympathetic and show that she really is a three-dimensional human? She can be a monster, but why is she a monster? And I think every writer has to ask, you know, what is the origin story of this character? And we can ask that in the people in our lives too. We always talk about empathy for the mean girl. Like, why are they the way they are? Even in the beginning of the book, the first page, it starts with conflict. It starts with Massie had these plans she was so excited for with her girls for Labor Day. And right away, her parents come in and they're like, no, you can't do that. We need you to hang out with the daughter of a friend of ours. And right there, I think anybody would understand, like, well, that kind of sucks. Like,
yeah, and your social life is everything at that age.
it's everything.
Like, it's
And she
everything.
had spent so much time planning with the schedule of how the day was going to break down. And she had put a lot of time into this. And then all of a sudden, her parents are like, no, I want you to babysit this other person. And we can really all understand. I'm sure we've all got a story where our parents made us do that, you know, do something we didn't want. It ruined
And
our
like be
plans.
nice to the family friend kid and like hang out with them instead. It's classic. Yeah.
Story of my life. Story of my
How so?
life.
How?
My God, bless you, Mom. I love you. My mom was the queen of this. And we're in the beginning of the, you know, honor your engagements, like that Massie says right at the beginning. Those are my dad's words. Like, this book is so much a part of my life because those are the references I had up until that point. I mean, the amount of human beings my mom would invite to our house, from wounded Israeli war veterans to randos from South Africa to, like, I mean, it was nonstop parade of.
She's still that way, you've said.
She's so that way. I mean, she is so giving and caring and welcoming. But we're always like, we'll show up for dinner and there are 90 randos at the table. And we're like, it's so awkward when you're a kid. Like, now we can make conversation and get out of our own way. But as a kid, it's horrifying. And those people always had rando kids. And now we're suddenly like, go to the basement and hang out with them. And we're like, nah, but they don't know all the words to Grease. Like, what are we supposed to do with
What
them?
am I supposed to talk to these kids about? Yeah, totally.
Yes, that conundrum is like front and center in this book because it was very front and center in my life. And it is another one of those nuanced conflicts where you're like, Massie's not wrong and her parents aren't wrong. And Massie's not right and her parents aren't right. Like, can you really blame Massie for being pissed off? No. Can you fault her for the bratty, indignant way that she behaved? Maybe, but she's also, 12? Right. And living in an adult world. Like, another thing that was really important to create sympathy was for her was showing that she is an only child in an adult's world. her having to take off her shoes to walk up the stairs.
Well, her parents had a lot of rules, which is why she has a lot of rules. I mean, that's how she was
Right.
raised. Like, she very regimented household and honor your commitments. And like, they almost come across as like society people, you know, and like society
Totally.
people have a lot of rules.
They have a lot of rules, and it's all outward appearances. It's all how do we
Mhm.
look to the others. Like they're right at the very beginning, Kendra Massey's mother turns her gigantic diamond ring around when Claire's mother walks in the room. So it's like, oh, what a wonderful, humble woman, but also like so incredibly aware of herself and her wealth that it's obnoxious.
Right.
And she's like,
right.
oh, I'm sort of signaling that you don't have as much as I do, and I'm so sensitive about it.
Right.
Like, so Massey just lived in a world of appearances. And so it's no wonder that is how she saw it as well. It's all about how you look to others. So
Totally.
establishing that very early on, suddenly you're like, okay, I might not have all the clothes she has and the mansion that she has and the staff that she has, but I have the feelings of having to, follow my parents' rules and take one for the team whenever they have
Right.
some social situation that I need to, make good on for them.
It's an interesting lesson to learn when you're growing up to do things strictly out of obligation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny shift. And like, I remember having those conversations with my parents being like, well, I don't want to do that. And they're like, well, it's the right thing to do. So we're going to do the right thing.
The right thing. And
And
it's
of
less so
course-
now. Like kids are like, no, I'm not doing that. Like there's been that shift that we've talked about before where like, good for you, Gen Z and Gen
Yeah.
Alpha, for like knowing your boundaries.
Yeah.
Good job, you guys. You've really come a long way. But you're also like, well, now how
Right.
can I parent you if you're not going to listen?
Right. And the funny thing, too, that like, I've always found interesting about this whole dynamic of Massey and the Block family is that mean girls in my life that I've encountered, oftentimes the apple does not fall far from the tree and the mom's a total bitch. And so it's learned behavior. But Kendra does not read as a bitch in this book series at all. Like, I don't think she's mean. Do you think that Massey's meanness is learned behavior or that it's a result of serious neglect?
I think it's a lot of things. One, her parents are around, but they're not warm. They're not loving. There's no room for error. So there is a lot of attention on how she presents herself. She's an only child, so she doesn't have a partner in crime. So her friends are her everything. And she's incredibly insecure. Without her friends, she's alone in an unwarm environment. So it's so everything to her to constantly have that security around her that anything that threatens it threatens her sense of safety.
It makes complete sense. So the introduction of Claire, you've said on a previous episode that Claire was originally not a part of the story. I mean, I think it's the best storytelling device ever to have a newcomer enter a world like, I mean, all that, like Harry Potter, he's living
Hunting
in
wives.
a normal hunting wives. I'm crying. But so I love that you just used that as an example.
All roads lead to hunting wives.
I'm crying. No, and even like Big Little Lies, like I'm everything good. Like when there's a culture and a society and a world that we're entering, to have a protagonist from somewhere else enter is just an incredible device. So is that really your thinking? It's just like, this is how we build world, like for the reader?
Well, without the normal person entering, the world doesn't seem weird. It's
Right.
just, right? So you need that normal person to be the reader, the viewer, who's also entering this thing, because it's in the contrast of normal person and heightened people that you realize how atypical their world is. Without
Right.
that grounded person, you don't get that as sharply as you would
Right.
otherwise.
Right. And in the development of Claire, I think about this with all of the girls. Like, did you have specific references in mind or people in mind that inspired these characters for you? Like, for Claire, how did you determine she's going to wear overalls and Keds? Were you just like, she just has to be
childlike.
so childlike and regular?
She's her age. I mean, she's 12 from Orlando with like this sense of awe and wonder in the most pure childlike way. She likes candy. She's taking pictures. She has bracelets that her friends made her. I mean, she is what that age should look like. And to my earlier point, when you put her with a bunch of women that are like hunting wives without the lesbian tendencies.
And the guns and the alcohol. I'm crying. Oh my God, I'm laughing so
Then,
hard.
it's very obvious how childlike she is when you're comparing her to people who are the same age but are living like
Wearing
divorced.
Prada. Yeah, no, totally. And it's funny because when I've reread the first book twice in the past couple of years. I reread it during COVID, and then I reread it when we started working on State of the Reunion.
Mm-hmm.
And it is funny because an element of it that I didn't really realize is like, of course, the aspirational aspect, the designer clothes, everything. But I was like, oh, it's really like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in a way. Like they all have their roles, they all have their dynamics. And that show is curated drama,
Right.
and like but it does feel like that show with them in their designer clothes, and like it's the clothes and the designer of it all is the sixth character, I guess. That fantasy element also from an audience perspective was the utmost appealing because then you could
so much fun.
It's
Clothes
so
are
much fun.
storytelling. I mean, from being on Broadway, it's
Yeah.
wardrobe is telling the story just as much as the actors and the
Yeah.
lyrics and the dialogue. You could see somebody know nothing about them and make some pretty solid generalizations based on what you see them wearing. So that was such a huge character. And I've always loved fashion. I've always loved outfits and putting things together that wouldn't normally go together, like the Hermes scarf, but worn as a belt, like
Right.
all of
Iconic.
it. Like I love that. I
Yeah.
still do that, not with Hermes, but cheaper versions.
Totally.
But I've just always been like that. And so again,
Yeah.
it's just another part of the things I love coming through on the page.
Was the fashion present at MTV at the time that you worked there? Like, were people turning looks at work? Like, was that a source of inspiration, or like what were people wearing? Because when I worked in fashion, I mean, I was working in fashion. People were, coming
Yeah.
into the office wearing Valentino. Like they really
Yeah, no,
were.
so that was not happening. It was very trendy and cool, but we weren't wearing heels. We were in television production, which is like quite blue collar when you get
Yeah,
down
boots
to
on
it.
the ground.
We're like,
yeah.
we're running around. We like producing. And like I've
Yeah.
always maintained that when someone came for an interview, if they were wearing high heels, I wouldn't hire them because I'm like, that's just saying to me like you don't understand the nature of this job. We all looked good, we were trendy, but we weren't in design or everything. But all the VJs we were friends with all the stylists who would do the VJs. We always like knew what was
Wait, what's
in
the
style.
VJs? Do I know what that means?
VJs, the video jockeys. Do I have to spell it out?
Oh.
The people that would like lead to the videos. And then coming up next, we have a video from Stone Temple Pilots. Like,
might be a little before my time. The
Wow.
VJs. I'm like,
Seriously?
am I supposed to know what that is? Oh God. I'm like, I thought that was like a
Wow.
like a PA or like a, like a DP.
No,
Like that's
VJs.
what
It
I
was
thought you
like-
were talking about. A video DJ. That makes sense. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cannot believe you don't know what that is.
Didn't know what that was.
I
I mean,
utterly freaked out.
Yeah.
I need to be alone for a minute.
So
So weird.
were you into fashion, or were you just kind of from
Always.
an aspirational, like you were reading Vogue and like you had your finger on the pulse of what was going on in the fashion world?
Yes, but I was
generally?
never into fashion. I was always into style. I was always into like Mandy Line, the stylist for the movie. Like that's
Yes.
my vibe. Like how can you take things and be creative with them as opposed to just mimicking whatever is in fashion or what you see in the magazines. I did not like that. I'm much more
Right.
like street style than magazine style.
Okay,
And
interesting.
so I always wanted the characters to have a little bit of flair. Like that's why
Well-
Mandy was so great. She got it. She totally got it.
Totally got it. And like, which leads me to kind of the ensemble, I guess, of the Pretty Committee. Their clothes are very defined. Like, and again, Mandy nailed it. Like the way
Nailed it.
that Samantha, who played Alicia, wears like so much vintage Ralph Lauren and like cashmere coats. And I mean, it's so Alicia. And the style is so defined for each of them. And they're also well defined. So when you were kind of like drafting and outlining, I guess, because now I know you're the queen of the outline. Our outline took 6 freaking months to do.
Years.
Did you have certain archetypes in mind for the ensemble of the Pretty Committee? What inspired each of those characters? Like Dylan's the funny, like quirky one who like farts and burps and kind of uses humor as a coping mechanism, and Alicia's the boy crazy one, and like you know, the romantic and the beta, and Kristen's the smart girl. So like, how did you come up with those archetypes for each of them?
But they're not unique archetypes as they are. There's like the jockey, the hot one, the studious one, the wild one. I didn't make those up. I don't have a monopoly on those. But what I did do was give each one of those archetypes a surprising twist so that then they become more human. Because again, there's no such thing as a person who's just the thing you see. Like what makes a good character in life or in fiction is the surprising little things that round them out and make them individuals. So it was very important. Like Kristen, who was the smart one, the jockey, like if I just left it at that, snoozer. But to make her be the one who's got this secret where she's secretly poor and
the scholarship
changing
girl.
her clothes and, you know, she's trying to put on airs and keep up with the Joneses, that made her more interesting. The fact that Alicia was this super hot girl that you look at her and go, she's got everything going for her, but she could never quite break through that ceiling. She was always a beta and always tortured by that and secretly wanted to be a newscaster and would do newscasts alone in her room. Like, I did that.
Yeah, I've always said to you, I mean, and I've said this on the show many times, but I have the softest spot for Alicia as a character. I identify with her the most, hands down. I have so much empathy for her as a girly, which is funny because you shouldn't. She's the girl that has everything, but I have probably the most empathy for her, even more so than Claire. Her character resonates with me so.
What part of it resonates with you the most? Is it because that you both have big boobs? I think it's deeper than that.
That's part of it, but I think that she's just a little, you know, she just is like so close all the time. She's so close. And I felt like that in many ways in my life. And to be quite frank, I think that from the outside viewer looking at me, I'm a person with an enormous amount of privilege. And whenever I have a problem, I feel like the world has an attitude towards me of like, well, what the fuck are you complaining about?
Right.
And so I think that's what always resonated with her, and especially in the new book, which, like, without revealing too much, but her whole outline for State of the Reunion is semi-autobiographical.
Yeah.
But it works, and it's so funny because you came up with these archetypes and these characteristics that are so defined, and they have their little twists, that writing the adult book and outlining the adult novel was so easy. Because it's like, oh, their same twists and their same issues are just what they're going to carry into adulthood, because that's how we all are. I mean, that's how life goes. Like, we grow up, but those insecurities and those little twists to our plots are always there and part of our story.
That's what makes us who we are. Without it, like, we could easily sort the world into athletic people.
Right.
Great at math people, you know, the hot ones. Like, that's easy to do. And the world would very neatly, like, filter off into different sections. But what makes everyone on this planet unique is all those little idiosyncratic things that separate them. Same with Dylan. Like, let's make her the burpy, gassy goofball, because we're all that too.
Yes, but also, like, her humor is her coping mechanism, because she has a troubled home life. She feels neglected by her mom. She's not as beautiful and as skinny as her mom would like her to be. And so it's like, okay, well, if I can't be beautiful and thin like my mom wants me to be, I'll be the funny one. And that's so real. A lot of people struggle with things like that.
Yeah, I think to be an author that is doing your full job is you have to be somewhat of a psychologist and a social scientist as well. And you really have to, like, create people that seem real. The more real your characters are, the more attached people will become to your work. Right. And so that's why, like, this development is so important to me. Is I want these people to feel real. And they do. Like, that's why it was easy, to your point, of continuing them on in later life. Like, we have to figure out how they're different. How has life changed them in the last 15 years?
Absolutely.
But for the most part, we know who they are.
Yeah. And guess what? Like most of the girls that I was in 7th grade with, like I see them and I'm like, yep, you're the same.
Yeah, I know who you are.
I know who you are. You haven't changed all that much. Like,
Yeah.
not good or bad, just like
Yeah.
you're the same.
Yeah.
So I want to get into the time that the Clique came out because you were referencing the Burberry, which, by the way, do you know that we changed it for the movie? The Burberry of it all, the Burberry punchbacks.
What was it?
It was Juicy Couture velour tracksuits because that was
right.
the moment when we
That's
were
right.
making that
That's
movie.
right.
And
Paris Hilton, all of it.
oh, I got one for Christmas. I felt like the richest bitch in America in my Juicy Couture velour tracksuit. But the time capsule element of the Clique. So when I reread it, it is kind of jarring to read them, Massey on her Palm Pilot and instant messaging and all, especially the technology elements are massively just Y2K. And it's really fun. And were you doing that consciously? Because I think a lot of people have a fear of not being timeless.
Yes.
Did you think of all of the Y2K-ness as a way to lean into the satire? Like, what motivated that decision?
Well, it was definitely in the same way that clothes are storytellers. Pop culture is also, and it is a way, it's currency, it's social currency. So if you have the Palm Pilot, if you can reference certain things, then you're in the know. So all of that added to their allure and the aspirational qualities of it. And you're very right to ask if the time capsule of it was a problem, because there was a lot of concern about you're going to date this book. And it was proper concern. If I were the executive in that moment, I would have asked the same question, because 99.999% of the books out there do not date themselves for a reason. And this was like dating ourselves times 1,000. Did it work out? It somehow did. And I wish I could say that there was some premeditated, other than, no, this is a book about the pop culture of it, and we're just going to lean into it. What's interesting that I never could have predicted, so right before COVID, I started a Clique book club with some of the girls, like daughters of my friends, and they were all in like 7th grade.
Oh my God,
and
those
we
are
were
the
doing
luckiest girls ever.
It was so much fun. We were doing potluck, so they'd all show up at my house with something they made, and we'd go through the books. And I was utterly shocked that they liked them as much as they did, and they did not trip over the pop culture of it at all. Did they understand it? No. But they didn't
have to
need
ask,
to.
like, what's a CD?
They didn't even know to ask, which I found so interesting. It was just lucky. For some reason, it didn't matter. All they knew was, this is expensive, cool stuff.
Right.
And so that was it. It worked. And now looking back on it, it's so much fun to see the time capsule of it. Stuff that I never would have remembered. Lucky magazine with the stickers that you put in. There was a reference that Massey made. She was talking to her dad, and she said, "You're more Donald Trump, and Claire's father's more Donald Duck." And at the time, I guess, like being called Donald Trump was being called, "You're just a rich businessman."
Yeah. Totally. And now,
how that's changed. So it's just really interesting. Or the iPad of it, calling Massey's bedroom an iPad. The iPad was not invented.
No.
It just looked like an iPhone because it was all white and the play on pad, like apartment. So there you go. There's a million of those. And we just got lucky that nobody seemed to care.
Well, we have such nostalgia for it. And even with the newer audiences and young girls that might be reading the Clique now, and like the girls that you were talking about, I think that adds to the fantasy. It feels like a period piece almost. Like, this is how I felt watching Back to the Future growing up, because that was when my parents were teenagers. So I'm like, what's a Walkman? I didn't know what a Walkman was. Like certain elements.
Oh, that kills me that you don't know that.
Of course
Again,
not.
I need a minute. I mean, it's like every time you say that, I get that headache that you have when you eat ice cream too fast.
Brain freeze.
I need a minute.
But it really creates like such a clearly defined story world that you can escape to with the time capsule element of it. And I think that a lot of Gen Z now, because they weren't alive for Y2K, they really romanticize that era of us having flip phones and,
that's really
digital cameras and all that kind of stuff that was totally normal to us. Younger people now think of it as so otherworldly to have a CD player and all of that. It makes me feel so old. I mean, how you feel talking about the 80s to me is how I feel talking about the early 2000s to kids that were not alive for 9/11. You know,
So
like it's
wild.
like, what? Yeah, crazy.
But on the flip side of that, what's interesting is we lean so hard into pop culture, but I did the exact opposite with dialogue. I was so intentionally careful about not speaking the way that teens were speaking at the time. And that was very, very conscious. I made up my own Clicktionary, literally. Like,
EhMaGawd.
EhMaGawd, all of it. There's literally a Clicktionary book of all the terms that these girls used that were 100% made up, because I didn't want to sound like a older person trying to speak young and cool. Like, there's nothing grosser to a young person than when an older person's trying to speak like them. And I thought it was also so cliquey in the most genuine way if other people were speaking like them or they had their own language, because what best friend group does not have their own language? They all do. The inside jokes, the lexicon, that really defined who they were.
Absolutely true. So with the new novel, State of the Reunion, we did have lengthy discussions about this whole element of dating the new book, because it's like, is this in 20 years going to read us so 2025? And we ultimately decided that that was a positive. Like how it was a positive for the original series, it's a positive for the new book. And so, like, yeah, they're on TikTok, and TikTok may not be around in several years. Like, we don't know, but it's around right now. So that's what they're doing right now. We've made a really conscious effort to make it feel very current. And very
because that is true to the experience that these that your people are having right now. Like, TikTok is a massive part of it. To leave it out would be leaving out a lot of what informs you and colors your world.
When was the last time that you read the Clique in full, and what was this most recent reread experience like for you? I can only imagine.
Cannot remember the last time I read it in full. And I've tried, or I've had to look at it for various reasons over the years, and the cringe factor is off the charts.
Why?
Because there's some writing that just literally about the writing that I want to re-edit. I want to do a whole pass that just tightens this thing up. Like, literally,
God, like,
I was reading on page 14. Let me just give you an example. Page 14, it says she figured the room could use a little color. And I'm like, she figured? Highlight, delete. We don't need that. The room could have used a little color. Like, my writing is just better. I know how to trim the fat.
It was your first book.
It was my first,
which is
and so
crazy.
I know, but you can see as a writer, like, areas that it could have been tightened. And so that always bothers me. Yeah. And then, okay, there's this one moment that I have to share because I still remember it so clearly. I remember where I was sitting when I wrote it. On page 20, the first time Massey, I don't know if it's the first time, whatever, she sees Chris Abley on the horse. And it says he held up his palm like an Indian, but smiled like a cowboy.
Crying.
Okay, so there's a lot there. First of all, canceled, but that's not even, that's the number two thing I want to mention. The number one is I remember writing that sentence and going, oh my God, that's a really good sentence. Like,
that's
I remember
a great line.
thinking that is so tight and visual. Like, I remember being like, oh, maybe you can do this. Like,
I'm a writer.
That's good. Upon reading it again, and I was like, I wonder how my favorite sentence holds up. And I'm like, Indian? Really?
Not well, it turns out.
Oh my God. So that is such a funny part of this, is looking back and seeing like how much we've changed, how much certain things puncture our ears.
Yes.
Credit to us for the most part. Like, page 56, you're acting like a real bitch. That sounds so harsh.
Yeah.
So
but we
hard.
said stuff like that. I mean, that was the time.
All the time.
That was
All
the time that
the
we were living
time.
in. Yeah, that is so funny. So when you were writing it, did you have imposter syndrome where you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this? Like, what?
I still do. Yes.
Everybody does. But like, really, were you like, am I really writing a book? Did you feel insane?
You know what? I didn't have it that much when I was doing it because, like I said, there was no expectation of success. on this thing.
Right.
For me, it was just like this very low paying extra job that I was doing because I've always wanted to be a writer, and I went to Emerson and was a creative writing major. And like, let me just say that I did that thing that I always set out to do. And then it'll just like get buried in some like sale bin at Barnes and Noble, and we'll move on with our lives. So when the imposter stuff happened was when it became a success. And I was like, wait, what? Really?
I'm sure. It's
That's when it was
unfathomable.
really bizarre.
It's
really
no
bizarre.
one's first novel, I mean, for the most, I don't think, is like New York Times bestseller, 4 more books, 10 more books, 20 more books. Like, that doesn't happen. It's rare. It's extremely and incredibly rare. Okay, so the book comes out. Was it kind of just like, I hope someone sees this?
It was a time when there was a lot more promotion and authors were being marketed a lot better than they are now. So there was a lot of promotion behind it, and a lot of book tours and posters and ads, and like of advertising the Clique in the back of Gossip Girl. Like there was a lot of synergy. It was the same publisher.
Right. Cross promotion.
People were doing their jobs as marketers back in the day. It is not like that anymore. I miss those days, and the success, you know, is partly credited to the fact that people knew this book existed. I was on the road, and now that just doesn't happen.
Right. So were you floored by the initial reaction? Like, how did you even take that in? Because it was such a massive success. And then I'm sure as more books came out, it felt even more massively successful and bigger, and just like a whole thing. That freaking video that you sent me the other day, oh my God, for the audience.
My God.
We have to talk about this. Lisi sent me, Isabella and Kristen, our producers, I have to send this to you. You're going to die. Lisi sent me a link the other day. I had never seen this. They did a whole piece on Lisi and the Clique for ABC News, like primetime news.
Yeah, for Nightline.
For Nightline.
It was crazy.
It is insane. You look unreal. Like I told you, whoever did your makeup that day is doing my wedding. Like,
and I told you I was in my 30s. Like,
no, you looked
trust me,
gorgeous. But you had like an ABC like full drag beat on that was like unbelievably gorgeous. I was like, I need to know who did this makeup. You looked insane and just absolutely stunning. But I remember those events like at bookstores like that where there would be tons of girls. And when the movie came out, we did a huge signing. It was just, were you just blown away by the reception?
I was, in this kind of makes me emotional right now. I was very humbled. I was very grateful. And I felt truly such a connection to the girls that were reading it that I felt in service of them and truly honored. And it was because of them that I was allowed to keep doing this. And I will never forget, all the readers got me in a way that adults didn't, or the publishers didn't, or my editors didn't always get me, or they'd push back like, this is so unrealistic, like this is crazy, i.e. the wave pool on top of Briarwood Academy. But the readers never questioned it. They never pushed back on it. They were just there for the ride. Massey turning the portables at her school into Tiffany's boxes. Nobody was like, well, where did she get the money? How did she turn it around so fast? That's unrealistic. Like, it was fantasy. And it was my imagination. And the fact that the reader always was on board for it and loved it was very validating to me, because I was a weirdo. I was all those characters combined into one person, minus Kristen, because I was very unathletic, but
but we all had like the athletic friend that was a sports star in the group. Yeah, that was like my friend Gina was a softball star. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
totally.
I was so truly humbled by the reaction that I would handwrite every single letter back to these girls and like really care about my response and how I treated them and how I responded to them.
But it's true to this day. Everything that you're saying right now is like completely parallel to what we've experienced with the new novel. Completely parallel. Like,
it is a supportive, loving GLU community. Like, it's girls like us.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain. Like, the GLUs get it and other people just might not. And but guess what? We're not doing this for them. We're not doing it for the people that don't get it. We're doing it for the girlies that get it, and they get it. It's incredible. Like,
to be able to put your weirdnesses and your imagination on a page and have someone else connect with it is one of the coolest things on the planet. I bet it's, when you're singing and you're just in that zone, or you're acting or anything artistic, when you are able to connect with people through that thing you do, it's pretty magical.
Well, and what's interesting about that, when you were talking about your writing process and, what you were doing at that time and just kind of cranking it out and the imposter syndrome and whatnot, and you don't really know the impact. You're not even thinking about the impact when you're creating something. And that's how, when people come up to me on the street, which this has happened in New York City, and I'm like, what? And they're like, oh my God, I've watched your cover of Shallow on YouTube 8,000 times. Like, I've followed you for years. And I'm like, you kind of just make the thing and throw it out there. And like, you don't think about the fact that like videos of people singing that I've watched 1,000 times, like I could be that for somebody else. Like, you just, no one thinks that way, obviously.
No.
And so when you're writing, I imagine like once this stuff is out there, it's like, oh wait, like this is the impact. You were just trying to write a good book.
Right. Although I will say now it is totally reversed and I'm terrified. Like, if I'm being completely honest,
it's different.
I'm very scared of State of the Reunion because for the first time, I am putting the impact cart before the horse. Like, I am aware of who I'm writing it for. I'm aware of this legacy, very aware of not screwing up. And before, I was just doing my thing. Like, either you liked it or you didn't. I had no thoughts that anyone would even like it. So I was just being very uninhibited. And now I'm really scrutinizing it, which is slowing up the process, if I'm being honest, because I just want to get it right. Because now there are these people that are actually waiting for it, that have expectations. And I do not want to disappoint them. I wish I could erase that from my memory and just go.
When people ask me, like, what are you doing in this book? I'm like, telling Lisi to
everything.
Like, trust your gut, because your instinct is always right. Whatever you did the first time around, just do that again because it worked. So just do whatever you want to do. It's going to be correct. And we got the hard part out of the way over all of those months.
We did.
There were a lot of bad ideas, like a lot of bad ideas that I came up with and you and together, and then they got thrown away. And I'm really confident in where we settled. I think you've just got to like own it and like go in, like and like go for it, and know and trust that the GLUs understand and get what you're doing. Always. Like, they're always gonna get it.
And at the very least, this is what I say to myself, truly, I am having so much fun doing this and doing it with you, that if it stops there, if it ends with us, I will have been satisfied. Like, I have to remember I'm just doing this for the fun of it, and I will have gotten a lot out of it. And the only thing I will have wasted, quote unquote, is time. And it's time that has been so well spent for me.
Precious.
So enjoyable in a time when, connection is flailing and people's purposes are being questioned and everything feels so uncertain. It's been incredibly grounding and joyful. And I'm lucky to have found that.
Yeah, and it's just like, this is a whole era of our lives. Like, we're gonna look back on this and be like, oh my God, when we were working on the reboot.
So fun.
Like, forever. This is gonna be like such a cherished time in our lives. But I want to ask you, in your reread of the original book, were there things that got your wheels turning about the new book? Because when we were in our outlining sessions, rereading the original series was enormously helpful for me in like tapping into what each of these characters are doing and what their motivations are. Like, did anything click or resonate for you, click quite literally, while reading the original book that you might be considering for the new novel?
I'll tell you this. So I did not reread it purposely before I started writing, because I do carry a very strong essence of each character in me. The details were less important because, again, how much of what we were doing at 12 is playing into how we are at 30? Not a lot. And I didn't want to get bogged down with that. But I will say this is so trippy. In reading it again, I forgot all about, at the end of this book, Massey made a WAS column for wait and see, because she was trying to figure out if Claire was in or out. And so she's like, I'll do a wait and see column. Forgot about that, only to realize that there is a moment that I won't spoil, but in Massey's first chapter in State of the Reunion, where she is deliberating between two options that have to do with Claire, and it is a wait and see situation. And I was like, oh my God, like, I know these characters so well that like there is
Right.
that consistency that I did not even do
You didn't even
consciously.
realize. Yeah.
But like she's a real human in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So real that those behaviors, the way that we are and the way we process does not change. And it has carried and remained with her at 29. And it's trippy. It freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, there it is.
but this is what I've tried to tell you, like throughout this, like when you've had those moments of like questioning, like, is this the right thing? I always say to you, I'm like, these girls, like they're such a part of you that all you have to do is just run with them.
I could not do this without you. With those, with
Stop.
your
Yes, you could.
insight, with your words of wisdom, with your partnership, like I wouldn't want to be honest. The
Oh my God.
partnership of this is so much a
It's
part
so
of it.
fun. What a blessing. So for this week, we are not doing Ask a GLU, which is our advice segment of the show. You can email your questions to thestateofthereunion@gmail.com, and we will help you solve your problems in life. We're actually quite fabulous at giving advice, if I do say so myself. But
We're fabulous.
we are not doing that for book club this week. But at the end of every episode, we give our current State of the Union, obviously inspired by the Clique Massey Block, where we give our in and out list for the week. And then we come up with a collective in and out based off of the episode. So I will start with my current State of the Union. My in, Tiger Bomb. My out, Tiger Beat. And I
I'm
thought
so
Tiger
proud
Beat,
of you for your wordplay.
Thank you.
So proud of you.
Thank you. And I thought
Yeah.
that Tiger Beat was good because I started thinking about Tiger Beat because that is a time capsule thing. Like it really was so big when I was in 7th grade. I remember like reading Tiger Beat magazine, and we're not reading Tiger Beat anymore in State of the Reunion. Yeah, no, we're not reading teen magazines for fun anymore. We just have, icy hot patches all over our backs now. This
And
is
jars
31.
of cinnamon scented Tiger Bomb. Good one. I'm very proud of you for that. Okay. Mine is kind of okay. I know we're supposed to be joyful at the holiday season. I know. You and I have talked about it. It stresses me out. I